Double Visions, taking a look at art and artists. A series of new television works created by independent producers.
It's okay. Good. Bueno. Should we tip it up? Oh, we are there. You want to do this one? Tape measure. My box. Okay. Let me just get it over here. I think it's a pretty good spot. Just a minute, we'll do it. There's 3 guys on this rock.
3 guys, I can handle it. If you 3 guys can handle it, I can handle it by myself.
Boy, this time I've never said to do that. Sweet rock, maybe you don't want it.
You want to, is this going to be a stepping that back or anything? Do you want anything here?
No. One ring. Oh, beautiful purchase here. Doesn't look so tough to me, Martha. I took a chip out of her. Just little ones, yeah. Make little piles for our outside circle. Okay, up we go. All right, clear that wheelbarrow. That's bad. Okay. Let's go ahead and get the rods in there right now. Yeah, don't touch the knife. It can come more. There it goes.
There you go.
Oh, don't let fall out of there. Somebody's got to be the guy get injured. He's real good at jumping. Big man that come up here and get hurt. Sacrifice my flesh. And get hurt like that. Oh God, Jesus. Oh my God. Oh. Somebody must have thrown it off a truck. Unbelievable. You gotta be kidding. Well, we're on the course of action is to epoxy it, and we'll have to build another one someday. Well, we may end up doing a commercial for epoxy. They'll finance this. I'll say, that was a great idea.
It's a charity benefit.
That was a great idea. We go all over the world, we break art, and then we repair it.
What are you going to do, dig for a while?
That's got it.
Be sure. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. Yeah.
Friggin' whirling hard here.
SunSweep. SunSweep is an international art project at 3 sites adjoining the U.S. Canadian border. Roseville Campobello Park, New Brunswick. American Point Island, Lake of the Woods. Boundary Bluff, Point Roberts, Washington. This sculpture is aligned to the North Star, solstice and equinox, and portrays the path of the sun from east to west.
Designed and given by David Barr in 1985 to the people of this community as a symbol of international friendship. Thanks. I was pointed out to people. When I go by or I tell people about it, I always mention it. Have you seen it? Because most people don't know about it. They haven't heard anything about it, and it's an interesting thing to go up and see if you're looking for something to see.
I really like that picture that Harley had up there of the whole thing set up in his yard, and then to think that it's all stretched out across, like it was set up in his yard in one spot, and now half of it's on
David's yard.
One side of the United States and the other half of it's on the other side, or other piece of it, and one in the middle.
My understanding of the SunSweep project is that it's a sculpture along an international border designed to commemorate the interaction across that border and perhaps to promote further interaction across that border. It is also aligned mathematically with the positions of the sun relative to the earth. It's an arch with the keystone in northern Minnesota and the various curved parts in Washington, the state of Washington, and in the state of Maine. And because the center part and two ends are there, David's arch exists, just as poetry suggests images. My involvement was calculating the grooves in each stone used to sight the sun. And this involved using elementary spherical trigonometry to find the positions. And then David took these positions and used them to cut the grooves in the stone for the sun sighting. In that way, it's rather like Stonehenge, sort of a modern, improved version of it, improved technologically.
What I'm interested in is the fact that his art is sort of combining abstract mathematical notions with real events, real natural world events. And the boundary line of the U.S. and Canada is an example of that.
The Ojibwe, who were once heavily in this area, had a ceremony if there was an eclipse. They would light arrows and fire it at the sun to relight the sun.
Is that right? That's interesting.
I thought that since this was this project so much is about the sun and sunlight, I thought we would do it, symbolically ourselves.
Okay, now I get. Now it makes sense to me. See, up to this point, it really didn't. Now I understand.
Oh, hey, good.
Now, very important to understand about David's work is that each piece that he does or did is, in a sense, a complete statement, a visual statement in itself. But this is very unusual about David's work, is that always related what is done before and what is going to happen after that. So there's a continuity. There's always a very distinct continuity in terms of creative contribution. He always feeds on the back, on the past, and builds towards the future. What is important, really, even to start out with about David's work, and in fact other relief makers, is that it's a visual equivalent of the basic theory, the basic principles of geometry, mathematics, and arithmetic.
No, there haven't been any low times. I guess sort of a feeling of sadness when it's all over. But here, we've cleared brush all day today. It was sort of a mindless activity, but we attacked it with a vengeance, and it was as if it was mandated. Harley said, well, I'd like to clear clear a little path toward this thing. We came over here and worked for 2 or 3 hours, and here's evidence of it.
I'll just finish that little section.
I've organized a couple of dozen shows and group shows and dealt with all kinds of artists, and all the stereotype sort of things are intact sometimes, but David doesn't fit any of that. He's an extraordinary person, and his art doesn't get in the way of his own life. It's not a substitute for life for him.
It's just, as confusing as it may be, it's better than not being there at all. I have to believe that.
I hope so. The several personalities we sure gave him.
I think what I was impressed with the group up there was that it was such rotten weather and everything was so miserable, and still everyone was cheerful and just went ahead and did it. And we had so many that just would spend the whole time fussing about the weather. Well, we can't go today, and mope around about it. And nobody was complaining or fussing about anything. It just went on.
It was hard work too. Everybody was in there. I mean, it was really hard work. We all the sand up over the rocks and carrying on. It was hard physical labor too, and everybody was really in there and digging. Yeah.
I don't think it means that much to me as that, except I would just love to get up there and see if it works. That if at the times that the sun's supposed to shine on it, it does. And I think it's just very interesting that the sweep of the project, that someone would take
he does it.
Yeah,
but he does it. That's
the
David goes out and does that. If it means anything to me as a project, I suppose it does mean something to me because we think about it, we talk about it quite a bit. But I never think of an art project, as meaning anything. I really associate it only with David and Beth and you guys, and what happened.
Now, you're going to pour cement on there, huh?
Yeah, these are the forms. There'll be a disc, and then the 2 stones will be inside of that.
For what it's worth now, and then I'm going to get out of here because you're not supposed to tell the other guy what to do. But my neighbor is a stonemason up, has that place.
House,
and he washes the rocks before he puts cement on.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about.
I think we will.
Yeah, so that there's no dirt right there.
That's all I'm going to say. Okay, should we wash?
Should we wash this rock here?
The cabin is yours. Well, why don't you come up then as long as you're this close?
I know he's doing something on his own, of his own free will. It doesn't bring in revenue. It comes from here. And so if I can be a little part of that, that makes me feel good because I like the man personally. And I want him to come back. The more I see and know of David Barr, the more I like him. He's just a really great individual. And he has such a vision. I may be jumping a little far ahead here, but I can see one day with David having something on one of these planets in line with the United States. They laughed at a lot of other people too, didn't they?
Great, what a beautiful location. It was fabulous. I can't wait to come in and clear this stuff out. I'm I'm hoping someday to come back up here when there's lichen over it, photograph it, when it's settled
You're
in.
always welcome to come back, for
Thank
heaven's
you.
sake. Just because you lay your egg here and take off, it doesn't mean you can't ever come back here.
I hope
My
so.
gosh, I don't have to write a special letter on that, I hope. Oh, it's great to be that way, to have those visions and not sit back and punch a time clock from 8 to 5 and look at the boob tube for 4 hours and go to bed. Oh, I like to even just know a person that has those qualities, Maybe it could be contagious a little bit. Maybe, I don't know.